Welcome to season 3, episode 5 of the Subway Conversation Chat. I'm your host, Jamie Malloy, and I'm ready to talk some New York Yankees and Mets baseball with you all, and my co-host, Joe Dalio. So, without any further ado, here's Joe. Hey, Joe, how's it going?
It's going great, Jamie. How you doing tonight?
Good. We talked about some things backstage about how it feels like it's old-time hockey with the Sabres and the Bruins in this playoff series. Your Mets are winning right now to try to end the streak, and I think the Yankees were winning 1-0, but they swept the Royals, which was good to see.
Yes, not a good week for the Mets again. Things getting difficult, but I got a good feeling about tonight. Just a kind of a perfect storm of things coming together. We'll talk about that a little bit more, and they have the lead right now, which is good. So, hopefully they can break the streak and kind of swing the pendulum in the opposite direction here that's been going. But yeah, lots of other great stuff going on again here in Western New York. The excitement of Sabres hockey going on too. So, we'll certainly, I'll certainly be, catching what I can of that afterwards as well.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So, guess what? Would you like to start out this week with Mets news?
Yeah, and again, it ain't good right now. The losing streak at 11 games, and it's just getting a little difficult here. But no major transactions going on now. The big thing, a lot of the offensive streak, I think, has to do with Juan Soto's absence. Not all of it, but certainly, he'd make a difference in that lineup. And didn't check the lineup tonight. I should have. I had some things going on before this and didn't get a chance. But he was either scheduled to come back today or tomorrow. So I'm going to have to check on that and see, if he's in there tonight. But his return is imminent if it's not already, and certainly going to make a difference in the lineup. Now, the Mets had to place Jorge Polanco on the IL. He's got a couple of different ailments. He's got a wrist contusion. He's had issues with his Achilles as well. They call it Achilles bursitis. And he had to sit out some games because of that earlier. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. He had placed on the IL retroactive on the 18th, so it's going to be at least 10 days on that. AJ Minter, the pitcher, doing some rehab work and could come back by early May. Any pitching depth would certainly help. I talked about a new guy they got here, Joey Gerber, who was pitching quite well for them, but then had a bad blister on the finger. And he was placed on the IL, but expected back in the near future. Now, one tough injury here, Jared Young, who was definitely, hitting well and excellent outfield depth here, tore his meniscus in his knee. And he had to have surgery for that. And it's going to be about 6 to 8 weeks. We're talking late May, early June by the time Jared Young could come back. But he was definitely, making some solid contributions. And now he's going to be out of the lineup for quite a while. So, they did bring some other people, in to replace them. But still, some of those guys are going to be missed. But again, Juan Soto coming back, and that's certainly going to help the lineup. So that's it as far as, transactions and things like that. So I'm going to send it over to you, Jamie, and we'll get some initial Yankee news here.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, we're going to start out with the Yankees injury report, and it's a lot of good news. So we have right-handed pitcher Garrett Cole still recuperating from Tommy John surgery. Good news, we have an update. He threw 44 pitches with Double-A Somerset Patriots last Friday night. He totaled 36 strikes or 36 strikeouts over 4 1/3 innings. Or 36 strikes, over 4 1/3 innings. The 2023 AL Cy Young Award winner allowed 3 runs on 3 hits with a walk and 3 strikeouts. So 3-3-1-3. The 35-year-old's next appearance will be with either High A, Hudson Valley, or Triple A Scranton Wilkes-Barre to continue his rehab. Expected return May or June. Yankees trade journeyman shortstop prospect to Astros for young, hard-throwing pitching prospect. On Sunday, the Yankees informed everyone they dealt Braden Shoemake to the Astros in exchange for minor league righty Wilmy Sanchez. The 28-year-old Shoemake was all with AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre last year and also the beginning of the year in AAA. He has a good glove with contact hitting abilities and a total of 31 minor league games played. So he probably could have broke camp with the Yankees this year, but now won't since Anthony Volpe is beginning to rehab from his shoulder injury. Whereas the 22-year-old Sanchez, who they just picked up, has a very high ERA of 4.61 in the minor leagues with 5.9 walks per 9 innings. However, though, he also has great strikeout stuff with 11.8 strikeouts per 9 innings. So he's a high. He basically has he's a high velocity reliever who's had to work on control, and he started off well though in Double-A, only permitting 1 run on 3 hits and 4 walks with 8 strikeouts in 7 innings. So it looks like all those control problems he had earlier, he's starting to get better with that because he already has the strikeout stuff, which is a good thing, and he's only 22. So, Joe, what do you think of the Yankees wisely dealing an experienced minor league hitter who really didn't have any chance to make the Yankees roster, and he was 28, but they got him for a 22-year-old promising relief pitcher who has potential to make the Yankees later in the year?
Yeah, I mean, I think ultimately it's a smart move. And, again, especially if they had no place for the guy that they traded away. And, yeah, that's a smart move. And time will tell, obviously, once he gets his chance, what kind of contributions he can make. But I like the trade. I think it's I think it's a good choice.
Mm-hmm. And how do you think he's been able to keep his ERA down and also limiting his walks so far in Double-A ball? Like I said, because he has the velocity, it's trying to work on his control and movement on his pitches.
Yes, sometimes all that takes is time, and maturity, and obviously both of those are going to happen. So, it shows that he's got the ability, and he's kind of refining his craft per se, and just time and maturity, can make that happen. So I think that's going to continue to improve as both of those occur, with time and maturity.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, now let's take a look at Down on the Farm. Yeehaw. Anyway, we're going to start out with AAA Scranton Wilkes-Barre. Jason Dominguez. The numbers don't show it, as Dominguez went 1-4 with 1 RBI, but he has really been doing well hitting lasers and missiles off the ball, which they don't call him the Martian for nothing. And he's really been taking off there. Anyway, next we have Oswaldo Cabrera. The youngster only went 0-for-3 in game 1 of a doubleheader on Saturday, but right now he could take all the time he still needs until he feels 100% and ready to come back with the Yanks. Next, we have Spencer Jones, Mr. Jones. We all just want to be big, big stars. He only went 0-3 with 1 strikeout in the first game, but he was better in game 2, going 1-for-3 with 1 home run and 1 RBI. Now we go to Double-A Somerset. George Lovebar Jr. was 0-3 at the plate, but had 1 RBI and is still tearing the brakes off the ball in Double-A. His RBI came early in the game, towering a 102.8 exit velo sac fly to drive in 1 of the 2 total runs. Next, we have Low A Tampa. We're going to talk about a new name this week, Joe. Last week we talked about Logan Nelson, but now we're going to talk about a guy named Jackson Lovich, who was 4-for-5 with a home run and 2 RBIs down in Tampa. Last week, we talked about Logan Nelson coming out of nowhere to have a day, but this week it's Lovich's turn. So Joe, what do you think of Dominguez and Jones continuing to produce in AAA with Lombard Jr. in AA, and now this Lovich guy in single A or low A?
Yeah, first of all, I'm amazed how you find some of these guys here that you're talking about, and you got some interesting information there. But you know, I'm not surprised that Dominguez would do that. I mean, again, eventually, I think he's going to be back at the major league level. So, you know, it's good to see him succeed down there, and just these other young guys too. You know, just again, time and maturity, right? You know, just again, just doing the best they can and making their case to eventually get to the major leagues.
Mm-hmm. And how could we, and when could we be finally seeing a promotion of some sorts for George Lombard Jr.? That's the burning question I'm going to ask you every year until time lets him get a promotion.
Yeah, it's tough to, you know, to make a prediction on that. Especially, I don't know him, I guess, well enough, but you know, we're just going to have to keep an eye on that, I guess, right? And keep asking, and eventually we're going to say now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Say now. Anyway.
Wow. This show is definitely what dreams are made of.
I know, right? Anyway, next we're talking about Will Warren goes 7 in Yanks blowout win. What about that, Joe? How about a pitcher going at least 6, 7 innings?
Hey,
instead
I
of
am
just
all
5, right? Isn't that awesome? Don't we love that now in modern day baseball?
I am all for it. Anytime. Yep. I don't care who he pitches for, where it is. I love to see that.
Yep. Warren, and guess what? Here we go. Warren was king against the Royals on Sunday, pitching 7 shutout innings and waved to the fans after that crown-wearing performance. And we have a quote from the manager. The 4-seam was playing really well, Aaron Boone said, of his second-year starter. He's got a lot of swing and miss. The changeup was good today, too. I just think it was the overall mix. It was good to see him take that lead and run with it. Really good job. The Yankees coast to 13 runs against KC Southpaw, Noah Cameron. This was a positive development as the club began the day with a disastrous 535 OPS against lefties, which is the second worst in the MLB.
Wow.
Aaron Boone threw soda in people's eyes, wondering if Garrett Cole was going to make a speedy return. Instead of saying throwing cold water, that he threw soda in people's eyes. And guess what? A speedy return. But guess what? That only made the situation even more carbonated. Anyway, after his first rehab start in AA Somerset, Boone said he will need several more before his reported return in June. And we have a quote here. Nothing's imminent here, the Yankees manager noted. We'll be disciplined and make sure we can take the right amount of time. Cole threw 44 pitches in over 4 1/3 innings with his fastball still clocking in at 95 or 96.
Very good.
Nevertheless, we're still likely to see Carlos Rodon return in pinstripes before him, despite Rodon scheduling to begin his rehab this week. It was another spectacular Saturday afternoon for Ben Rice, who has started out 2026 proven that his skill wins ball games with a tad bit of luck on the side. Boone grounded left slugger Paul Goldschmidt against Cameron, and it worked as Rice crushed a 398-foot moonshot, lefty on lefty, to notch his 3rd straight game with a home run. His OPS now is 1224, which is for second place, which is for second best in baseball. Who noticed the Yankees have been starting day games a half an hour later this year, Joe? This is actually, I just found this out when I wrote this over the weekend.
I
I'll
didn't
tell you
notice
what
that.
this is about. And I think this could be a league trend or a trend for pitchers to start going deeper into games. So, anyway, you just found that out as several veterans, to include Stanton and Judge, requested that their day games start at 1:35 instead of 1:05 for more prep and rest from night games. Not only it helps like the older guys like Judge and Stanton, but it helps the younger guys, recuperate too. It trickles down from the veteran to the rest of the team. So anyway, the request so far has paid off tremendously. And we have a quote from Stanton. It's 100% improvement since Stanton. For some guys, the extra sleep in their prep. For other guys, they use time here getting treatment. I like it. The extra half hour feels like an hour. So, Joe, what do you think, or why or why not do you think could this trend turn into maybe a whole league trend of starting day games a half an hour later, possibly at the beginning of, if there is a next year, or in 2028, depending on the lockout? What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think you're going to see it more. And I feel like we already have. I look at the schedule of games on a not so much maybe a Saturday, but because it seems like a lot of the Saturday games start at like 3 or 4 o'clock, I've noticed. But, the Sunday games, they all seem to be starting around 1:30-ish or so. So I think other teams have done this too. I don't know if they changed them anytime recently. But and I didn't notice that that the Yankees had changed it, but it makes sense. I think you're still playing an afternoon game. If it's getaway day, you still have plenty of time to get away in time and get back home if a team has to leave town or something like that. So it makes total sense to me, and I can understand why the players would want to start a little bit later. And it seems like, again, other teams have done this as well, and it seems to be a trend all over the league.
And Joe, how do you think it may help with not just pitchers like Will Warren, but how do you think this could help wear and tear, like traveling wear and tear, and pitchers going longer into games? Because if you saw the last two games they had, Will Warren went 7 and Ryan Weathers went 7. Do you think maybe this could help with, pitchers maybe going deeper into games if they start a half an hour later in day games?
Yeah, it could, because especially if it's a day game after a night game. If let's say you played Saturday evening and then you're playing again Sunday afternoon, I think it would certainly be a help, because even like you said, a half hour, whoever that quote was from, a half hour seems like longer, seems like an hour. So, you may think, well, it's only a half hour, but it seems to be, having an impact here. So yeah, especially after a day game, after a night game, but anytime, I think it could certainly help.
Okay, now let's turn back over to you, Joe, for some more Mets news. Joe?
All right. Thanks, Jamie. Excellent information there, as always. And I forgot to share some information here before, as I thought I had a list of transactions here, and I brought up the list. Now, I mentioned Polanco going on the IL. The Mets recalled Hayden Senger, who's had some time with the team before. He's a catcher, but he was brought up from AAA Syracuse to fill that spot. We're talking about Richard Lovelady having issues, that he'd been placed for assignment last week. Same with the other pitcher, Gonzalez. Lovelady was actually traded to the Washington Nationals for cash considerations. It wasn't doing much for the Mets. Again, I mentioned Jared Young going on the IL, but they recalled somebody named MJ Melendez, who's already made some contributions. He came from AAA Syracuse. And they also recalled a pitcher named Austin Warren to take Joey Gerber's spot there as well. Now, again, everybody knows, if you're a Mets fan, this is one of the most difficult weeks or 2-week stretches that we can remember in a long time. Now, let me give you some numbers here. Mets were 0-5 during the week. Again, currently on an 11-game losing streak. Outscored 28-10 in those 5 games. So we're talking getting beat almost 6-2 on average here. Again, pitching and hitting, definitely, both subpar. Now, here's some information. I was wondering, when's the last time the Mets had a losing streak like this? And what's the biggest losing streak they've ever had? So last time the Mets had an 11-game losing streak was September of 2004. All right. So it has been, 20 plus years here. September of 04. Now, they had a 12-game losing streak. Hopefully we don't go there this year, in August of 2002. And again, those were some lean years for the Mets. But if you want to know the longest losing streak the Mets have ever had, and again, hopefully we don't touch this ever again, first year in existence, those lovable losers that they call them, it was a 17-game losing streak in 1962. Now, this is, or actually, it's the longest losing streak in April before this was 9. And that was back in that 62 season there. All right. And obviously they had that 17-game streak later. But this is the longest April losing streak the Mets have ever had in their history. So that just goes to show good teams, bad teams. And again, I strongly believe this is a very good team. And I think that's why Met fans are so upset, is just because this is not a 11 loss in a row team, and especially the way they're losing. Now, some things, some offensive highlights, which there aren't many. This MJ Melendez that they brought up, the replacement for Jared Young, had a home run and 2 RBIs and an 1152 OPS. So if he can keep doing that, then, perhaps Young's absence, won't affect them as much. Now, everybody, hold the presses. Stop it. Francisco Lindor had an RBI. OMG. Wait, that's the Iglesias OMG. But Lindor with a home run and an RBI. OMG. An 800 OPS this week, so not too bad. Now, he's batting second in the order lately. So we'll see what happens. Now, by the way, I was saying before about Juan Soto coming back. He is not in the lineup tonight, so it's tomorrow that I believe he's scheduled to come back. So that, again, will certainly help this lineup. Really not many highlights to talk about. Mark Vientos had a solo home run, but only a 539 OPS, and that's one of the better ones. Marcus Semien got going. He had an 882 OPS, and so did Tyrone Tyler and Semien had 2 RBIs each. But again, not much to talk about. And guys like Brett Beatty and horrible slumps. Alvarez continues to hit the ball well and hit the ball hard. He's still showing up pretty high on lists as far as barrel rates and, hard hits and things like that. I'm trying to think of that magic word as far as that StatCast term, but I'm blanking on it right now. Hard hit rate, all that stuff. All right, pitching, not too pretty either. Now, Nolan McLean, who's pitching tonight, has been their most reliable starter so far. And he pitched 7 innings this week, only gave up 2 hits and an earned run. All right, so obviously he didn't get a win out of it. But other stats, 8 strikeouts in those 7 innings, a .57 whip. So he's not walking people either. And they hit 087 against him. So he continues to excel. Now, Clay Holmes continues to pitch well also. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits given up, 2 earned runs, 4 strikeouts. Certainly not bad. Now, David Peterson is not pitching like Tom Seaver these days, but he had a better start, although only went 3+ innings, but seemed to get things under control. Some concerns here. Kodai Senga got lit up again. Only pitched 3 1/3, gave up 6 hits and 6 earned runs. Sean Manaea still not starting, but even if you're thinking about it, he pitched 4 innings throughout the week, 6 hits, 5 earned runs. Brooks Raley, who was untouchable the first few weeks of the season here, Gave up 2 earned runs in 2 innings pitched. He's been getting hit a little bit. Devin Williams, how's this? An inning and a third, 5 hits, 5 earned runs. So he got demolished this week. So you can't really depend on anybody. Now, Luke Weaver was the reliever who melted down last week. He did pitch 2 scoreless innings this week. So, again, hopefully they can get off the schneid here. Coming up this week, there's still up 3-0 in this first game. And the Twins have been playing well lately. But still, a 6-game homestand for the Mets, playing the likes of the Twins and the Rockies. Okay. Now, 4-2 at least is an absolute necessity here to get them out of this. The Mets are 7-15 now, last place, 8 games out behind the Braves. So again, they've dug themselves a hole. Again, it feels like this baseball season has been going on for months already, and it hasn't even been a month. So there's a lot of baseball left. Now there's the debate that keeps coming up. All right. And I'm not critical. I don't like to be critical on this podcast. In fact, we talked about it briefly last week about the manager. Okay. And again, teams go on losing streaks all the time. This guy was on the hot seat last year, and he was lucky to have a job coming back. And they're starting with twice as many losses as they have wins. But it's not even that, in my opinion. It's the way they're losing these games. And there just seems to be a lack of motivation, a lack of a desire to play the game sometimes. I hate to say that, but that's what I see. And I think a lot of that falls on the manager. People say all the time, he doesn't swing the bat. He is not throwing meatballs at the plate here and that. But again, I think it points to management, and I really think it's time to look elsewhere. And, even if they go on a little bit of a winning streak here and they do win 4 out of 6 at home, I don't know. I think it's time to see what the options are and maybe light a fire under these guys' butts and get them going. Again, Juan Soto coming back certainly going to help, but that remains to be seen. And I know people will debate me and think I'm crazy. Other people will say, hey, I'm right on. That's the thing to do. But I know I asked you about this last week, Jamie, but and I know you follow the Yankees far more than the Mets. What do you think about that situation?
Here's the thing though, Joe. If you want to make a change, I'm okay with it. But but like I said, it's I don't know if you make a change this early, and if you do, you're just gonna promote your bench coach or whatever. I would give it at least until maybe May or June, or maybe after the first half of the season. I think April 21st or whatever, I think that's too early to let him go. But eventually when you do decide to let him go, I would just promote whoever the hitting coach is or whoever's going to be, or maybe you promote the Syracuse manager. I don't know.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that sounds logical, but you're 8 games out of first place now. But so, it's something to keep an eye on, but
right.
I think the leash is going to be very short.
Right.
I wouldn't have a problem if it happened tomorrow.
Right.
I just think it's time, and
right.
I don't think, we'll see, but I see where you're coming from too, as far as, all right, just give it a little bit more time. It is still early, and I've said that, but you can't let this, especially the way the Braves are playing. And you got to know the Phillies are going to get going at some point too. They're not playing well. They're going to get going. So again, you got to be careful with how much time you let go by. But, again, now's a chance if there's any time for the Mets to get going. And again, to give them, I guess, some kind of credit, they did play at Los Angeles against the Dynasty. They did play at Wrigley against a Cubs team that's getting their act together here, that is playing much better baseball. So again, those are not easy games, but you figure, come on, you take 2 out of those 5 maybe, and at least make it respectable. So here again, you're playing at home. I noticed teams definitely play well at home coming back from a road trip. And again, they're off to a good start in this game, but again, against teams that you got to win 2 out of 3 in each of these series, and go 4-2 at the worst. So that's basically where we're at now. Again, hopefully rock bottom has been hit and they can bounce up and get back into the swing of things and get going there. And I think, in fact, I don't know if it was you that mentioned this last week, but the fact that there's so much parity in baseball. I mean, none of these divisions are really, that much of a difference from first place to last place. So kind of surprising here that the Mets are actually 8 games out of first place here at this point, and when things are so tight all over baseball, and even the worst teams are still only within a handful of games. So, that's the number to look at too. And just that can't get, too much bigger than it already is. And hopefully rock bottom has been hit, and, they can move on from there. So that's all I got for the Mets here at this point. And I'm going to throw it back over to you, Jamie, for more Yankees news.
Thank you very much, Joe. I'll be praying for optimism over there. Anyway, close game, no more. The Yankees' early hitting turns into a rout. The Yankees, much like Aerosmith, have been living on the edge to begin this season. They currently lead the majors in games decided by no more, at most, 2 runs. I wish my grandpa was alive to hear that. He'd go nuts right now. He did not like that. That was his pet peeve when the Yankees lost by like 1 run every game.
Yep.
Anyway, it's been a strict regimen of nail biters, allowing Aaron Boone to pull the nothing comes easy because we're the Yankees card. No, right? Of course he would do that. Not Aaron Boone. He wouldn't do that, right?
No.
Anyway, they were due for a cruiser, not a PT cruiser. And they got one as Cody Bellinger homered twice and drove in 5 runs, while Ben Rice and Ahmad Rosario went yard to support Will Warren's strong 7-inning day in a 13-4 win over the Royals on a Saturday afternoon at Yankee Stadium. Excuse me, Joe. And we have a quote up here. These are nice for sure, Bellinger said. We had a few close ones recently, had a crazy series against the Angels. Will did a great job of just doing what he does. And for us to get a few runs on the board, that was big for us. Including the postseason, the Yankees have defeated Kansas City in 10 straight games since October 9th of 2024, winning 12 of their last 13.
Wow.
14 of the Yankees' first 20 games came by no more than 2 runs. Warren's outing had low stress, and he was moving along after being supported by a 5-run 3rd inning. Warren tied a career-high 11 strikeouts in 7 innings while only letting 2 runs on 5 hits without issuing a walk. The no walk is key.
Mm-hmm.
No walks there. And Carter Jensen's 2-run homer broke up the shutout, but the Yankees won 13-4. And we have another quote here. It's nice to go out there with the lead, Warren said. You're not worried about giving up 1 or 2. I'm able to keep my composure knowing that the boys are banging that day, and they're going to bang, and they're going to be physical. The Yankees began the day losing 4 out of 6 against lefty starters with another one Sunday in Cole Reagans and more on deck in Boston. They went to work on Noah Cameron with 5 runs in the 3rd, with Rosario, Bellinger, and Rice all homering. Bellinger produced strong numbers last season against lefties, batting .353 with a 10-16 OPS, which enticed the Yankees to pay him fair market value at 5 years, $102 million contract. And we have a quote here, even going through the minor leagues, I don't want to age myself, but no one talked about lefty-lefty matchups, Bellinger said. I never heard of it. It's just another pitcher. You've got to have your plan and just continue putting your swing on the ball. I don't think there's a magic trick to it. I really don't. I like that. He just thinks they're just another pitcher, lefty, righty. It doesn't matter. I'm just go hit the baseball. That's a good mentality to have.
I agree.
Mm-hmm. So, Joe, what do you think of the Yanks finally having a blowout win after so many early season close calls?
Yeah, those feel good, don't they? It's one of those. It's like you can kind of take a breath, and the pressure builds up, and then you can exhale just a little bit, right? Everybody needs one of those, and again, good teams like the Yankees get them a little bit more often. But still, when you're winning, those pressure games and those tight games, it does take a lot out of you. And so to get a win like this, again, just to kind of exhale a little bit, I think is very healthy for them.
Mm-hmm. And how awesome is it that Bellinger was paid and has been worth every penny of it so far this season?
Yeah, I definitely, he's one of the more valuable players on that team, one of the more unsung ones, really. Again, everybody talks about Judge, Stanton, Ben Rice is kind of taking over the spotlight. Nobody talking much about Bellinger, but he's just kind of quietly doing his thing and doing it very well.
Yeah, I mean, think about the fact that, like I said, Joe, the Yankees were going to pay Soto 16 years, $760 million, but they let him go to the Mets, and they were able to get Bellinger for basically nothing, and they re-signed him to basically nothing of what they would have had with Soto, and it's paying off. How crazy is that?
Right? Yeah, he's producing.
They basically paid him peanuts to what they would have with Soto. 5 years, 102 for him. That's a bargain deal for Bellinger. So, anyway, we're gonna say I got another gun. We're gonna start like this. Okay, is Cam Schlittler a little bit better than he is? Says the Kansas City Royals. While Ryan McMahon deserves the credit for his late game winning 2-run home run, Cam Schlittler shouldn't feel down about his solid outing. But caring more about team wins than an individual win, the Royals took note of the young, hard-throwing righty. The righty called his outing, quote, pretty solid, but the Royals thought he performed better. We have a quote from their manager, especially the first time you see him, it's unique, said Kansas City's manager, Matt Quatraro, even though I thought it was Matt Quattro, but it was Quatraro. Anyway, he's big, 6'6", it's a high release, good extension, good carry. He wasn't dotting the zone. He threw a ton of strikes, but some of them run more than you think. Some of them cut a little bit more. I mean, it's a tough at bat. Now boasting a 195 ERA across 5 starts, Schlittler came out strong, getting the first 11 batters out in 6+ innings. With the help of a Ben Rice 2-run shot, Schlittler fanned 6 and allowed 1 unearned run on 3 hits with 2 walks. No runner scored until Vinny Pasquantino 2-out single in the 4th inning. And we have a quote from him. It's an elite fastball, Pasquantino said. He doesn't shy away with it with the percentages. He does a good job of controlling the top rail, the strike zone, and going up above. It's not that often a guy that tall is able to do the things he was able to do. He is one of the best pitchers in the game right now. Schlittler Schlittler's 2 weeks were unlike, or Schlittler's 2 walks were unlike him. But he's only allowed 3 of them in 105 batters face. Still, that left him feeling unbothered. And we have a quote here. It happens, or as I would say, Schlitt happens, Schlittler said. I think they were both competitive pitches, so you've got to execute and get ahead in the count and go from there. Kansas City pushed across an unearned run in the 5th. Nate Garcia worked with a one-out walk, and Bobby Witt Jr. lifted a deep fly ball near the center field wall. Trent Grisham was unable to make the play, the ball smacking off his glove from the base for the base error. For two base error. So, Joe, what do you think of Cam Schlittler being so humble that even the Royals notice how well his stuff is?
Yeah, it's funny because he's humble, but I think he's quietly gaining confidence at the same time. His stuff is so good that even if he does walk somebody or give up a run here, I don't think he gives a Schlittler. But anyway, had to throw that in there. I'm sorry. But no, I think, you mentioned humility, and that's true. But at the same time, you could see that confidence growing, can't you? He's definitely maturing and gaining that confidence steadily as time goes on.
Mm-hmm. And how does this show that Schlittler is more about team wins than just individual wins?
I think the humility that you just said, he's again gaining that personal confidence, as I said, but at the same time, you could see with that humility comes that team first mentality.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Anyway, McMahon learns that you don't miss on 100 of the practice shots you do take, instead of you miss 100 of the shots you don't take. In an early season slump that has tested his patience, Ryan McMahon was looking for answers in the batting cages beneath Yankee Stadium. While not in the starting lineup and not wanting to waste time doing nothing, McMahon took about 100 extra swings on Friday evening, kind of like something the Little League kids or the high school kids would do when they're not in the lineup.
Right.
It's kind of cool, though. And when he went in as a pinch hitter in the bottom of the eighth, he hit that go-ahead 2-run homer, which proved to be the game winner. The Yankees won 4-2. And we have a quote. "It's been tough," McMahon said. "I love this game. I love doing this with these guys. The goal is to win a World Series. And if you want to be somebody who helps out, it's been grinding on me." And you want to be somebody who helps out. It's been grinding on me. You get sick and tired of it. But that doesn't mean you're going to figure out. For me, you just never, ever quit. And remember that, kids. They may not be teaching you bunting, or they may not be teaching you how to actually throw balls anymore without injuring your arm at 12 years old, but you're still learning from McMahon. You never quit.
That's right.
Anyway, the left-hander was out of the lineup on Friday against a right-handed starting pitcher, a decision that manager Aaron Boone attributed in part to Michael Wacha's reverse splits. Boone said he explained the decision to McMahon earlier on Friday, adding this caveat: with at least 4 left-handed starters coming up in the Yankees' next 6 games, McMahon's playing time will be further impacted. Entering Friday's contest with just 5 hits, entering Friday's action with just 5 hits this year, all singles, McMahon made it 6, clubbing on Alex Lunge changeup over the left field wall. He roared as he recorded the bases and celebrating the benefits of his in-game workload. And we have a quote: "6 out of 7 innings, I was there taking swings," McMahon said. "You want to play good for the men in the room with you. It doesn't feel good letting your brothers down, especially the guys you grind with every single day. That's not the first time I've done that. It's a humbling game." McMahon's work didn't begin on Friday. This offseason, he met with members of the Yankees coaching staff via Zoom to discuss potential mechanical changes after slashing .208 with a .641 OPS and 4 homers in 54 games after being acquired from the Rockies last July 25th. So, Joe, what do you think of McMahon tracing back to the Little League or the high school days of taking practice swings since he was out of Friday night's lineup?
Again, it sounds like team first, right? and just wanting to do whatever he can to help the team and to do whatever it takes. And it's a valuable model here, right? He's talking to the younger kids and stuff like that. And, again, excellent example, excellent attitude, and I like it. And again, just doing whatever he can do to help the team. Those are the kind of players you want.
Yeah. How can he build some momentum off of this after being in such a rough slump to start out the year?
Take it day by day. I think that's all you can do. Again, he's doing the right things. He's trying different things. He's taking it seriously, and I think still with the confidence, knowing that eventually he's going to get out of it and hit the way he knows how to hit. But just I think the best way to do it is just go day by day and do what you can do today, and then build upon any success you have at that point.
Mm-hmm. Guess what, Joe? It is now that time for our question of the week segment. Would you like to give it a try?
I would.
Okay, so can you guess this MLB team? They have 8 World Series wins and 14 World Series losses. Is it the Dodgers, the Cardinals, the Red Sox, or the Sacramento Vegas Athletics?
Ooh, I should know this one. 8 World Series wins and 14 losses.
Yeah.
I would say the Red Sox, but they had 3. I don't think they even have 8, and I don't think they would have up to 14 losses. The Cardinals, I thought, had more. Who is it? Red Sox, Cardinals. Who are the other ones? Dodgers?
Dodgers and the Athletics.
I am going to say, I'm not going to say the Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm just going to say in general, the Dodgers.
You got it. It was the Dodgers.
Okay, because I know some of those came from Brooklyn.
Mm-hmm.
And okay. So I think I'm 1 out of 2 here now.
Mm-hmm.
Now, again, my friend Tom sent me one here. And then if I can find it. This is a very difficult question. I would have never got this one. And I'm looking for it now. And again, I should have it ready. Okay, you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Try this one, Jamie. This is courtesy of my friend Tom from Florida here. Now, Roberto Clemente, he only hit a walk-off inside the park grand slam. All right. I mean, he's looking for a Yankees because this question doesn't quite make sense.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to get back to him and get the rest of it, and I'll ask you next week. All right.
All right. Well, it looks like we come to the end of our show. So, Joe, where can we find you in this social media, digital media world on Tuesday, April 21st, 2026?
Okay, you can find me, Joe Dell Sports. That is on Twitter X, and then on this show, sometimes on other shows on Driving to the Top Productions as well.
Mm-hmm. And then you can find me, yours truly, on Bill's Chat 1 at Bill's Mafia Chat, and also Jamie Malloy, the unbiased journalist, at DJ Dog Tags on X. Fansided.com, Buffalo Now, and theforkball.com, where I write about all sports. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, and ring the bell for all notifications. For more content on Driving to the Top Production, you can visit us on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, X, wherever you get your podcast. For Joe Dalio, this is Jamie Malloy, and this has been another episode of the Subway Conversation Chat on Driving to the Top Productions. We will see you next week, folks. Good night, everybody.
Great week, everybody.